we go. Alright, good afternoon everyone. Today is Monday, July 23rd, 2012. I'm going to go through all the trades that set up this morning, the ones we took, the ones we didn't take, and all that stuff. Let me mention, before I go any further, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go to www.cfrn.net/apply. And if you do go there, that www.cfrn.net/apply, fill out the little form, no credit card required. You'll get access to all the indicators you see here, all the data platforms, the data feeds that you see here, and then a bunch more. You get access to the charting platform, a DOM to practice on, all that stuff you get access to for 5 business days. Okay, so if you've not taken the free trial, go there and take the free trial. Let's see. That was that. Now, moving on, let's just get right to the results. We placed a few trades, but this is the net of our results this morning. We are plus 10 ticks on the NQ. Okay? I'll show you what happened with it all. We started out over here. Well, let me just blow up the NQ so we can just jump through that pretty quickly here. All right, this was the first trade of the morning. I missed the first 3 trades this morning. All right, we had bullish divergence. Now here's the setup. All right, this is the setup for everyone. And we're going to have the same setup across the NQ, the YM, the crude, any 4-tick range chart. You're going to have the same setup, the same set of indicators. The ES 4-tick range chart will have the same setup. The ES 10,000 contract chart will be just a little bit different, a little simpler actually. With this, we're looking for a bullish cross. That tells us to start looking for long trades once the price starts moving away from the BBC, which is the green line. The bullish cross is the blue and red line right here, this thin one, that's the MA1. Once that makes that cross and it pulls back down, tests the BBC, at that point, price is looking for some support. You then look down here to see if the green line on the cycle is moving away from the cycle portion. The green line on the slingshot is moving away from the cycle portion of the slingshot. The cycle portion is the red and blue line down here, and this is the green line down here. When that's moving away from it or diverging from it, that means it's pulling back like an elastic, getting ready to snap back in that direction. Okay? When price comes down here, finds support, and then closes up, then you can anticipate it snapping back. All right? This is how it worked on the opposite side. We had a bearish cross. It came back up, tested the BBC. We had the slingshot right here, divergence, snapped back, and price dropped. All right, it did it again right there. It did it again right there. It did it again over here a little bit, but the cycle portion was moving up, so we weren't interested in that. Okay. There were a few more opportunities in here, small ones. This one didn't go very far. It got really choppy in here, so I wasn't trading until we got right over here. Then I had drawn in these lines. After I took this trade, I had drawn in these lines because this one didn't go anywhere. We had the divergence, the bearish cross, the test of the BBC, the down close, and it didn't go anywhere. It stopped me out for minus 8 ticks. I was waiting, not taking any more trades until we got out of that range I had drawn in there. I think the high of it was right here. There was another long trade right here that moved up, another one right here that moved up, a short trade over here. The bearish divergence is right here. Is your bearish divergence, test of the BBC, a down close. I took that and took some profit. There was another long trade right here. Now the reason this is circled in the partners meeting a couple weeks ago, I showed everyone that was in the partners meeting anyway how to take advantage of this portion of the slingshot. When the brown line is, if you have a strong upslope on the cycle portion and the brown line is above it and the green line diverges from the brown line in the direction of the cycle, and then it turns back into it while the brown line is still above the cycle, then that's an opportunity to jump in on just a quick momentum trade. I also went long over here after we tested the BBC and had an up close. I went long there and took some profit, and that's what got me at plus 10 ticks. All right, you can see right in here we didn't have anything, and we got into the break period right here. There was nothing going on. There was another opportunity right there, and that's pretty much it. All right? That was the NQ. Now, let's look at the same exact setup over here on the crude oil. I had 2 trades on crude this morning. One won, one didn't win. There were a bunch more that actually set up, but I wasn't watching crude close enough to actually take the trades. All right, we can start right here. We had a little bit of bearish divergence right here, tested the BBC with a down close. Then price had a strong move down right here. There was no way to get into this right here. Okay. Let's see, there was one earlier. Where was it? Yeah, right in here. Strong sloping up with the green moving into the direction. All right, so you could have gotten long right over here on this move up. There was another divergence right here. After we got a bullish cross, price came back down, tested the BBC, and gave an up close right there. That was the spot to enter. That bar right there. Now over here, what was I showing? I was showing when the green line turned down into the brown. That's what those circles are. Okay. I was looking here at this for a possible long trade, but the cycle started to move down too much. Okay. The cycle started to move down too much for me to take that trade. Okay, right here, the long trade. Then let's see. Over here, we had a little bit of bullish divergence. This is more of that green line turning into the whole slingshot setup that I showed to the partners. Let's see. There was a long trade right in here. We tested the BBC, gave an up close. I took that, made a little profit on it. Then I took one of those momentum short trades right over here, and it stopped me out for -6 ticks. So I gave back my profit. That put me at break even. Right in here, you can see we had bullish divergence. Tested the BBC with an up close for a move up. Over here, bearish divergence down on the bottom. You see the green line has moved away from the cycle portion of the slingshot. We had bearish divergence down on the bottom with the test of the BBC. Moved back up to the BBC, gave a down close, and it moved down just a little bit there. All right, then we got into the break period, and I haven't done a thing since we've been in the break. There was a nice trade right here, though, if you look at that right there. Okay. John, hold on, I'll go back and show that to you. There you go. In this downtrend right here, is this the one you're talking about, John? What prevented my entry in the long downtrend? There's one thing. Well, there was a possibility for an entry in here. It would have been way down here. Okay, we didn't get a pullback after we got the bearish cross. It just tanked, and we didn't get a pullback up to the BBC here. Okay, it just dropped down and didn't pull back up. So that's what we had to deal with. All right, the opportunity was right in there, and there was one opportunity right here as well on the way down. You see where the green turned down with a strong sloping cycle. The brown was still below it. The green diverged from it and turned back into it. So there was an opportunity to get short right here and right over here. This part right here, unfortunately, there was no opportunity to get into that. It didn't pull back. It just happened too fast. No, and that's going to happen. Sometimes you'll catch them. Sometimes you'll catch them just at the right spot, and sometimes you won't get in them at all because they don't pull back. That's the way it is. And that was it with crude. Okay, did that answer your question, John? We needed it to pull back up here to test the BBC, or we needed it to the green line down here to do some sort of a pullback while the brown was still below the strong sloping cycle portion. Okay? That was that. Let's see. Now, I've done the NQ and the crude. I'll show you the YM. And now the thing about the YM, guys, is, well, let me show it to you over here on the 1500 contract. I didn't take any trades on the YM. All the same setups that we just showed you on the ES, not on the ES, on the NQ and on the crude, the same exact stuff happens on the YM 4-tick range. All right. This morning when we opened up the room, we saw the market was coming down right in here. It was right over here. And I said, I think if it drops down below this level right here, it's going to work its way down to the weekly trading zone, which it did within the first 15 minutes. Okay. Once it got to the zone, I explained to everybody how hitting the lowest weekly trading zone that we have that early in the week, we were only 15 minutes into the day and we've already hit the lowest weekly trading zone. I explained to everyone how it's very likely, very, very likely, like almost 9 out of 10 times likely, Past performance is not indicative of any future results. That it's going to make a big move up from here. And that at the end of the week, we're going to see substantially, we will have seen, not necessarily at the end of the week will be higher, but we will have seen substantially higher prices. And in the first 2 hours, it went up. The low here was 21, and it rose all the way up to 42. So why don't we just call it 41? We'll say 120 points on the YM. Now, I suggested down here, when I was telling everybody in the room that, in the live trading room that, I was suggesting to them that if they wanted to, it may be a good time to consider buying a call option, because there's a very, very good chance that during the rest of this week, price is going to move significantly up off of this level. Okay? It may end the week back down here, but it's going to move significantly up off of this level, and it already has 120 points. Okay, so after it did that, it moved all the way up here to the weekly trading zone. I was telling everybody in the live trading room that I anticipate it's going to work its way back down to the BBC right here, which it did, and it went back up to the weekly trading zone, and now it's just bouncing back and forth between them. So the action over there is just not as good as you would like it to be. Now on the ES, I didn't take any trades on the ES this morning because the YM was right at that zone. The first ES trade happened right over here, right after the YM. It hit the zone, all right, and I wasn't sure what was going on with it. I didn't want to short the ES when the YM was going to bounce off the zone. So I let this one go, and you can see it worked out anyway. It went sideways for quite a ways. I think the entry on that would have been, the actual entry would have been 34 and a quarter. You would have had your order on at 34.5, and the actual entry would have been 34 and a quarter. It dropped down to 32 and a quarter, so you would have gotten 2 points exactly out of that. I let it go. I had an order on here. I was trying to trade this over here, and then it just didn't pull back far enough right here. The YM went up and hit the zone again. Now, right here before the end of the morning session, I covered something that we covered in last week's partners meeting. I said if we get an up close on the other side of this trend line that I had drawn on here, that it's probably going to work its way up, and it did work its way up, and you can see right up to the swing high. All right, the swing high was at 1340 half, and it worked right up to that. It's now exceeded it by 1 tick, but you can see this is just a very choppy market. All right. And that was pretty much it on the ES this morning. We really didn't have a lot to go on this morning, unfortunately. All right. Does anybody have any questions about anything? I'm happy to cover more if anybody wants to cover more, or go into more detail if anybody wants to go into more detail. If not, I'm going to unmute David because I muted him a few minutes ago when he was talking. He had an open mic he didn't know about. All right, I'm going to stop the recording right here.